one thing that entrepreneurs are known for is gut feel and intuition.
Yep.
Right? Like we feel as entrepreneurs, like our gut tells us everything we need to know about running a business. Like, I don't need any of this nonsense. I know how to run a business. I follow my gut, right? And here's what I would tell you. It's important to follow your gut. However, without the visibility into the way the numbers work, you are leaving money on the table. I mean, millions and millions of dollars through additional revenue that you can earn and additional profits and through your future exit. And you're gonna make mistakes. So I'll just give you this example. If you're a pilot, my brother's a pilot. Any pilot, I don't care how great a pilot is, great pilots have intuition, but do you know any great pilot that doesn't look at their instruments? Greg, you're a pilot. Do you ever fly? It's just an hour, I'll never look at my instruments. You would never do that as a pilot, even though I bet you have great intuition and great gut feel as a pilot, but you always still look at the instruments. The same thing here. It's okay to follow your gut, but you gotta look at the numbers or you're not gonna be checked. You're not gonna make sure you're making really smart decisions. There's three types of entrepreneurs when it comes to P&Ls. The first entrepreneur goes, oh, that's accounting stuff, or my bookkeeper does that. I don't have time for that stuff. I don't understand that stuff. I'm not gonna look at that stuff. That's type one. Type two is, I kind of understand a little bit. I look at it from time to time, and as long as I'm making money and there's money in the bank account, I'm doing good. And that's the majority of entrepreneurs. And then there's a very small number of entrepreneurs that know their numbers, it's laid out in a way that they understand, and it is one of the critical drivers to their financial success in their business. You will not find a company that sells for 10 figures. We have 4 clients that have been clients for 25 years. They sold to Blackstone in 2021 for $1.6 billion. If I put one of those folks up here today, they would be able to tell you that we're gonna teach you today was one of the top 2 or 3 things that allowed them to build a company that sold for $1.6 billion to Blackstone. All cash deal. Blackstone wrote them a check, right? It's a pretty big check, a lot of zeros. So you need to think about that. Which are you and how do you become that third level of entrepreneurs when it comes to the P&Ls?
All right. Why do some businesses sell for 9 figures while others can't even find a buyer? First one, without clear financials, just like Jim mentioned, a business is unmanageable and unsellable. Second, investors and acquirers want predictable, scalable profits. A model P&L gives you the clarity and confidence to drive better decisions, spot opportunities, and maximize valuation. What is a model P&L? Some of you know, some of you may not have the exact definition. It's a forward-looking financial model that helps entrepreneurs project, plan, and benchmark revenue and expenses. So it also enables you to make smarter decisions. And unlike a static P&L that a lot of us are familiar with, it evolves constantly, it's re-benchmarked, it's dynamic, and it's a strategic way of you moving forward. So we've had our business for 26 years, and Jim alluded to this early on. It took us 10 years to dial in our model P&L. 10 years of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We don't want you to take 10 years, okay, to create your model P&L. We're gonna help you, give you some shortcuts, things to think about so that you can go back and assess where you are. We wanna shorten it so that you can get this going this week. So as far as our model P&L, we look at this every month in detail, and every single financial decision that we make is based on our model P&L. So for example, what we've seen oftentimes is a lot of companies hire a COO too soon. We hired our COO 3 years ago, and we knew we were ready. We hired a director of operations first before we hired a COO. We also said we're gonna pay our advisors above market rates so that we can acquire talent. That was because we could do that from our model P&L. So we're able to uniform and standardize our payroll for our advisors' salaries. We also were able to hire some more admin staff because of our model P&L. Also, when we looked at our IT costs, our technology, we saw that we were outsourcing our IT. It was gonna be so much more than bringing in an IT admin in-house. So last year, we hired a full-time IT admin. Another big thing for us, we're paying so much in our recruiting costs using 3 different vendors as recruiters to hire because we're constantly hiring, especially advisors, looking for key talent all over the country. When I saw the numbers, I was just like, you know what? It's going to be better for us to bring in recruiting in-house. So we brought in recruiting in-house. We have better talent. We actually created a funnel. It's a marketing funnel specifically to recruit advisors. In one recruiting timeline that we have to hire one advisor, we have over 1,500 applicants just for that one position. And it's saving us thousands of dollars because we brought that in-house. So I can give you tons and tons of examples, but I want you to think strategically about the decisions that you're making in your business and look at your model P&L to make some of those decisions.
This is our model P&L. So this is our forward-looking P&L. And when we look at that, let me just ask you, cost of goods sold is 30%. By the way, cost of goods sold, who knows what cost of goods sold is? Who wants to give me a definition? Anyone want to share a definition? Aaron?
The raw cost that goes in what you...
The raw cost that goes into what you need to make money. So for example, materials, labor, ingredients, if you're a supplement company. So what goes into making your product or delivering your service, that's your cost of goods sold. So with us, as an advisory firm, our cost of goods sold is our advisor salaries. The cost of our advisors is our cost of goods sold because we're an advice-driven consulting company, so to speak, when we run these fractional family offices. So let me ask you, is that good? We've got a 30% cost of goods sold. Is that good? Is that a good number? I have to tell you, I don't know. And here's why I don't know just looking at this. Compared to what? Compared to what? So let's look at operating income, 35%. Is that a good operating income? I don't know. So if we're a grocery store, is that good operating income? It's ridiculous, right? Because grocery stores have like 1 or 2% operating income. So we'd be killing it if we're a grocery store. If we're a luxury brand, like Mimi's wearing Louis Vuittons. Louis Vuitton is a luxury brand. What would be a good operating margin? What do you think Louis Vuitton's operating margin is? 70 or 80%. Varies year to year. 70 or 80%. So those of you who have Louis Vuitton, and I have some Louis Vuitton too, right? Almost all of that is going to profit, right? It doesn't cost that much to create a pair of shoes or a purse, but they make those kind of profits. So if we were a luxury brand, we'd be terrible. So the point is you need some comparisons to your P&L to know where you are. Because every one of these numbers, we have thought through, debated, slept on, really to get these numbers because they're critical in the performance of our company going forward.
Clean up your chart of accounts before you build your P&L. We see often common mistakes. There's too many line items or categories, so there's 3 mistakes that we see. It's redundant or it's vague. And the third one is inconsistent categorization across the time period. So you really want to think about. So when we first started, we had our bookkeeper who gave us an idea of what our COA should be. She was using that for every single business she was helping with. So we just said, okay, I'll just help you categorize into those specific areas. But we weren't able to get granular and into detail and see where some issues may lay. So really think about your chart of accounts.
This gives you our chart of accounts. This is abbreviated. This isn't the whole list, but this is our chart of accounts in 2017. This is our chart of accounts in 2024. So I'll just share a couple things that we changed. We had our income, like our consulting fees were all on one line item. So it was very difficult to get any kind of valuable insight from that type of a chart of account because I'm looking at a category of consulting fees and everything's lumped in there. If you look at 2024, now we're breaking out by service level. So we have different complexity of different entrepreneurs and different service levels. So that way we can identify, are we having a lot more revenue expected from our most complex entrepreneurs or a lot less, a lot more for our less complicated business owners or more complex? That way we can actually get wisdom from that. We can say, hey, what's happening in this one part of our revenue? Same thing with expenses. We had salaries lumped in together instead of breaking down our cost of goods sold, is our advisor compensation, our salaries, our bonuses, our benefits. So now we can break that down and see where are we as far as our expenses so that we know changes that we need to make or things that we need to watch to make sure that we can meet all of our financial benchmarks and our financial goals this year. So what I want you to do is I want you to think like, take Aaron, his coffee shops. Let's say under revenue or income. So one might be, revenue, merchandise versus coffee sales, right? Cups and t-shirts, that would be important to know. What about his 2 locations? Wouldn't you want to know, like, you might not believe this, but someone might have 2 coffee shops and they don't have their 2 separate shops broken out. Could that be a problem in getting value out of your P&L, right? So if you're not looking at your P&L and it's just lumped together, or it's put into too many categories that don't make sense, you're not going to be able to look at that and get true value out of that and make good decisions. And that's why you can't just rely on your outsourced CFO, your controller, your accountant, or your bookkeeper, because often they're going to use a boilerplate for all these other businesses they've worked with. And those entrepreneurs might not think like you think, and they might be in a different industry than you're in. That's why you have to be actively involved with your chartered accountants.